I'm Jim Collison, and live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Called to Coach, the India edition, recorded on November 23rd, 2016. Called to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you have questions during the live webcast, we do have a chat room that's available for you. It's right below the main video window there. If you're watching the recorded version, no need to log into that. We do love to have you live, and you can chat with us during the program. Just put your questions in the chat room. If you're listening to the recorded version or have questions about custom strengths coaching solutions for small, medium, or large organizations, you can contact us. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com, or use the contact form right there on the live page. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com, for all your coaching resources and StrengthsFinder training needs. And you can also catch the video in both streaming and downloadable audio now for offline listening. Many of you are doing that as well, downloading it to your phone, listening to it when you're on the car, in a train, or on a plane, and we love it when you do that. All the links are available for that. If you have questions about how to get it done, it's all on our coaches blog. Head over to coaching.gallup.com. Pooja Luthra is our host today. She works as an advanced consultant with Gallup out of her Delhi office. Pooja, always great to hang out with you on these, well, they're usually Monday nights. We've moved this to Tuesday, Wednesday in India. Great to see you, and welcome to another Call to Coach.
Great to see you too, Jim. Thank you for accommodating that. I was caught up yesterday with a client engagement, and then we had to push it back one day. So thank you for accommodating that, and thank you, Anna, for accommodating that. And on that note, a very, very warm welcome to you. Our guest for today is Annadurai Vinayagam, fondly referred to as Anna. All of us have been calling him that for a bit. Just to give you a quick introduction for Anna. He is a finance professional, has been working for the past 33 years, of which 22 years have been with Sodexo. And within Sodexo, he has handled multiple roles in the span of his career of over 2 decades there. And currently, he's handling talent mobility from India to the Middle East. And he's also doing a lot of coaching and mentoring of potential leaders within the organization. So, Anna, it's really, really nice to see you. And very, very warm welcome to the Indian edition of Call to Coach.
Yeah, great. And thank you, Pooja, and thank you, Jim. My top 5 is strategic, individualization, and ideation, and developer.
Okay.
That's my
Great. So tell me a little bit, Anna, about your experience with the Strengths Finder. I know you're a Gallup-Certified Coach. So tell me, how did that start? What prompted you to become a certified coach, since you had been coaching and mentoring even before that? So tell me a little bit about what led you to the idea of strengths-based development.
Okay. It all started when I moved to head HR for Sodexo in 2003. I had been with the organization since 94, and I was handling operation responsibility. And there was a restructuring within the organization. The CEO had 2 choices. One is to look at the market and bring someone new in HR to lead the organization. We were close to 12,000 people then. And the second option was to find somebody within the organization and bring him on board to head HR. So he chose the second option, and I became head of HR with no background about HR, and I have been in operations, and I have been in developing markets, but not in HR. So that's how my journey in HR started in 2003. And then I realized that it is very important to understand HR, especially from our organization standpoint, to lead HR. I didn't have the luxury of joining the HR organization as at the second or third layer, then learn and go. I had to straight away come in and lead HR for the organization. So when I was in the quest for something that will throw some understanding of HR, I met this gentleman, and who is my mentor. And he gave the book, First Break All the Rules. He said, see, Anna, if you want to understand HR holistically, and here is the book. I said, such a small book. This is all what you're saying. I've been reading big books, and I've been meeting very senior people. I said, just read it and come back to me. So I took the book and then I read it, and it connected with me thoroughly what I was actually trying to figure out, where it starts, where it ends, how it moves. In my mind, always there is always a structure, and then this whole framework of first break all the rules, what an employee expects, and the whole thing, it connected straight into the framework, and I was excited and said, yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing. And then post that, he gave the book first. I'm sorry. Now discover your strengths. For a couple of months, I was not reading it. I was reading, but not taking the test, and he was chasing me. We were just supposed to have a meeting, and that last night I took the test. So morning we met, and I gave him my report. And then he went through and said, did you take the test last evening? Yes, I said, yeah. So, and I said, how did you figure out? Yeah, your team talks a lot about you. So that's how my initiation into the Strength Finder was in 2005 or around 2005. And we had 2-3 hours of conversation between him and me about what strengths are, and what is the so-called weaknesses, and the whole conversation. And it took some time for me to own up the what I am. It's not just strengths. Own up what really I am, and it took a very deep level of conversations and connecting certain things. So my top 5 themes, as I said, is strategy, individualization, ideation, maximizer, and developer. So it was very, then the whole concept got a little more strengthened when we did 360. We were scheduling 360 for the entire COMEX, the executive committee of the country, the following week, and Strength Finder was, a part of the whole exercise of talent mapping and talent development. So when the 360, it was more face-to-face 360, and then I found many things converges, and many things gets clearer and clearer, and what I am, more than that, why I am what I am. And that actually resonated very, very strongly with me. And from there, it was a journey of continuous revelation and insights. I think that's how it would be forever.
That's it started long back, and I think that's a good thing, because a lot of times, and we tell coaches as well, that it's equally important for that journey of self-awareness before one can become a strengths-based coach. Understanding your own talent teams, how they play out, before you can actually hope to be a great coach around it. So tell me a little bit about, once you got into HR, I'm assuming that's when you started with your coaching and mentoring, maybe not on the basis of the strengths initially, but tell me a little bit about what you were coaching on, and how did this certification, which was not very long ago, so how has that sort of helped you evolve the way you are as a coach?
Okay, so after the Strength Finder, revelation, then I started using it within the organization for people development and understanding people and their strengths. And that was, and I was also looking to get certified, and it was not happening in India, if I remember right. It was either in Singapore or in US. And then it was going well, and I was in touch with they and others in the organization. And then the moment the certification got rolled out, I got the intimation. I think I got certified in the second batch. I was actually waiting for it. And certifications opened up a different, what should I say, different part of the whole story, because I would have at least met or administered Strength Finder for almost 100 people in the organization in the meantime, and my understanding got better and better, but still there were lots of questions that was not answered. So when I got into certification, many things got answered and validated, and that gave also a lot of confidence. And I must say, the first important aspect is about the four domains of strengths, and the second important thing is uh, uh, the raw and mature form. That is actually a very deep insight I got, and suddenly it answered many questions. I know this person is an activator, and this is how he is. This is how it should be. But still, I find some challenges. Why is it? So those questions were always there in the mind in the past, and then now you can figure out, where is he? Is he in his raw phase, or is he in his matured phase? And what role coach has in creating that awareness, and in building that sensitivity, and in helping him to move from that raw form to mature form.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Tell me, little boy. You said that you've been using the idea in people development and talent management, and you said a talent mapping. How have you integrated the idea of strengths, or have you been able to do? Have you found any merit in integrating the idea of strengths in all of these key activities that the HR of any large organization is undertaking or doing? So, as an example.
Yeah, what we did is we have been in a constant growth phase. We have been growing at 15 to 18% CAGR. And the industry was also maturing. And in fact, we were playing a role in maturing the industry. It's completely used to be dominated by small local players. And then we were the one organized player. And we led the maturing of the industry. So talent was always a challenge. Either we bring people from hotels who may or may not prefer to join in an organization which was more of a service, where you really don't see much. In a hotel, you walk in and you see a lobby and you associate with a five-star luxury. But here it is all services. So we had a challenge in attracting talent at the right level to manage our growth. That's when we started looking beyond the industry and bring people from different industry and try and adopt them to our business requirement. And that is when the Strength Finder came in very handy. So the philosophy is, if you find talent who has it in them, okay, it is also possible to build domain. Okay, rather than going obsessively for people, with tremendous domain knowledge and reputation, and then you have a ready domain knowledge, but then develop them into a talent that's what is required in the service industry. Instead of that, can we get people, for talent, for their talent, for what they are, rather than what really they know, and then give them time to understand our industry and nurture them during the period. And then is that going to work? That was a sort of, I wouldn't say a gamble, but surely a chance we took. And we started getting people from different industry. I was also one in that in that mode, and that worked very well. And I think the philosophy of Strength Finder, our belief in Strength Finder, made that approach work.
Okay.
We got people from logistics industry. We got people from BPO. So all that started happening because we had the conviction that if there is talent and right talent that is required for our type of business, I think the rest can follow.
I think that's a great thought, Anna. And at Gallup also we say a lot that whenever you're talking about things like strengths and engagement and things of that nature, having that philosophy is very important. That belief is very important that it can make a difference, and then that needs to be supported with systems. And then at the end of the day, you should give the managers the ability to be able to individualize it as per the needs of their employees. So, any examples that you would like to share on the systems and processes? So, for example, that philosophy is well set in your organization. organization that strengths is the way to go, because knowledge, skills are all additive, but if you have that basic talent, you can help anyone be good at what they are doing simply by knowing what works for them and in the way that they know best. So that's a philosophical thing. So any way you were able to merge that with some of the systems, like for example, the 360 degree is a great example of a tool that sort of, it merges the idea. It almost gives you, it's almost an amalgamation of your balconies and basements if you look at it in one way, because that's what people are perceiving you to be. So any more examples of how you were able to integrate it into the system of HR, of a managers to use when they were doing all this acquisition, etc.?
The acquisition followed much later.
Okay.
We would talk about that later. But when you are asking the question about the system, as a growing organization, we were putting things together, and we had the liberty, we had the agility to keep doing things what works, and then build on one on the other. For example, the performance management system is the first thing that we fixed, and we standardized, and then we defined, the leadership competency framework that's important to us as people. And then the second is 360. Obviously, that is something we did, and we borrowed a succession planning template. So this role I'm talking somewhere between 2006 and 9. Okay, we borrowed a succession planning template, and then we customized to our kind of an organization, and where we integrated the 360 data, and we integrated the strength finder themes and the evidence that how this strength finder theme is playing out in their performance. So this actually sort of came in, in a way that we didn't even expect to fall in place so quickly. And within a short period of 6 months, we could really have a fairly credible succession planning template for the COMEX and -1 and -2. It was not, at that level of maturity like a large organizations like Sodexo, what it is today, but it was falling in place, and it was making connections.
It's I just got startled when you said between 2006 and 2009, and I'll tell you why. Because as of late, we've started hearing about organizations wanting to change their performance management systems, wanting to integrate the idea of having strengths-based conversations, etc., which is off late. But pockets of excellence have always happened, and you guys thought about it way back. And if you were able to integrate the idea of performance management with strengths, etc., I think that's very credible. That must have been, and you're saying it has worked, so it must have been a great thing. So any examples during the course of your tenure there, Anna, that you can think of where, for example, like you got that revelation and you say you continue to learn more and more about your own themes. Anybody else within the organization, or any team, or any manager, or any leader, anybody that comes to mind also who had the same sort of learning around their own talents?
I want to share two such instances. Okay. And first, it's a very unique experience that when I was heading HR and when I was driving certain initiatives, I found sometimes speed was a concern, and meeting timeline was a concern, and this came out in my 360. And obviously, when I looked at my strength finder, I could sort of figure out why. As a strategic person, I always want to play out what if and what if not. And, and then as a maximizer, unless it meets my standard of excellence, I'm very uncomfortable rolling it out or sharing it with people. And the ideation, lots of ideas keep, springing up, and you want to try many things. So this combination of these themes, I realized that was causing an issue on timeline. And I used to justify this saying that I know I'm not sometimes meeting the timeline, but I have very strong reasons for it. And that is when my mentor said, Anna, at this point of time, when you are leading a team and leading a function, today the way the corporate, the market is, the timeline is important. You can afford to let go a bit of your excellence drive, but focus on the timeline. That was one counsel that he gave, and that was not very easy for me to do. And that was when I was looking for a number two for me. And this person came from another organization where I think he happened to go through Strength Finder. And I met him, and then I was talking to him. Then in the conversation, it came up that he had gone through the Strength Finder. I asked him to explain what his strengths are. He said focus, discipline, responsibility, significance, and restorative. I thought I'm now finding my complement. And I didn't really go beyond that. I said I knew that there would be concern about his people sensitivity, and there would be a need for him to do a bit of a planning before he takes that plan. That I knew those things. I sensitized him about what his great strengths are, what he is capable of. It connected directly with his past. And then I also sensitized that where you would be struggling a bit. And then, that connected much more strongly. And yes, I understand, Mr. Completely, I agree. So here is how we are going to work. So I respect you for what you are, and you are going to balance me out. I'm going to unleash you. And give me the freedom to rein you in when there is a need. And I will explain why, and that's in agreement. But let's have mutual trust that you do what you do, and what I will be doing what I am doing to do. So within a couple of months, one of the strengths obviously of mine is, when I look at 6, 7, 8, that's clear. Credibility. Within a very short period, we built the trust between us, and it worked so well. Next 1 year, what we couldn't do, what was in the drawing board stage and what was in the rollout stage, got just pushed so fast when I had this team member drive it for me. And I owe a lot of my success as an HR head to him.
Absolutely. It's such a inspiring episode that you've just said, Anna, because even when we were doing the course, we spoke about the idea of powerful partnerships. We spoke about teams being complementary. So when you spoke about 4 domains, we know that one person cannot be well-rounded, but yes, partnerships can be powerful, teams can be well-rounded, and all of that good stuff. So it's very nice when you hear examples of such things actually panning out, and you're actually able to see how they have benefited you as well as the organization. So that's great to know. Any experience within the organization of working with larger teams around the idea of strengths, or is it more individual for you?
Oh, mostly what happened after 2009, I took the responsibility of integrations, two acquisitions, and 2 integration successively over a period of 5 years. I moved out of heading HR for the organization, and Sodexo brought in different HRAS, and I continued to apply my Strength Finder knowledge or expertise in the integration, and not really in a formal manner administering to a team of people and building. My understanding of Strengths Finder has been deployed in mentoring and coaching. And I was very passionate to become a mentor and coach, and my journey took a different direction. And I knew that this is what I'm going to be doing. And I spent more time, and that is when I went in for certification, actually. Okay. And every year, 3 or 4 senior leaders in the business. And I used Strength Finder in the mentoring framework very successfully. And we were talking about that second incident or second situation. And that was a case. We had a very talented and successful leader in our business. who was doing very well, and then his reporting manager moved out of the country to take up different responsibility, and he moved to head the function, and that was when he was referred to me for mentoring, and he was doing a good job, but there has been some concerns and some issues. So I put him through the strength finder, not in the first session, second or third session. Then I could connect with the challenges, and I also could connect with the successes that he had. So first we had the conversation around his success. So what happened in the past few years? The questions normally I ask the mentees is that, what earned you the success in the last 3 years? So how did it happen? So then I try and connect it with the Strength Finder theme. Where do you see this success factor to your profile, to your theme? So they gradually connect. Then where exactly is the struggle? Because this is two different buckets. You have your success in this bucket and you have your struggles in that bucket. It's very closely interlinked and intertwined. In fact, it is in the same. You have to look for the same place where it brought success. So we figured out that is an activator and arranger, and the challenge was quickly, and when do we start and dealing with ambiguity. Need not have all the data to actually get going, and but the team around, because the team was waiting for clarity, the team was waiting for what are we going to do, how are we going to do. By then this person is ahead, so there was a bit of disconnect between the team and him. He knew what he was doing and he felt that he had already shared, but the team had the feeling that no, we are not still clear. So once this gap was identified, you could find that in the arranger as well as the activator. So while your strength is action and starting and moving fast and organizing it well, you might probably miss out carrying people with them. And if it means you have to take a pass, if it means that you have to hold for some time, that's important to do. So that sensitivity, that understanding, I think changed his approach, and that helped him to succeed much better in the role later. And the coaching, the mentoring relationship, the mentoring process has concluded, but the relationship still continues. He calls me every time there is a change of role, every time there is a success, and every time there is a challenge. He says, I remember, and I wanted to talk to you. So that's a highly satisfying and fulfilling moment.
And that's pretty much when we look at and talk to coaches around the world, the one thing we have realized is exactly the 2 points that you have highlighted. For any great coach or for any great coaching relationship, the coach is mostly the student of their coachee's successes. You study what has made them successful and you try and help them be more who they naturally are. And the second thing, what we've also realized is that people can change roles, people can change jobs, but once they get comfortable with a strengths coach, chances are that coach remains a coach for the rest of their lives, because this is the person who almost understands you in a way that either you had forgotten or it was something new about you. So you would want to be with that person for the longest period of time, irrespective of whether you're in the same role, same company. All that can change. So that happens a lot, which is actually a great sign of a great coaching relationship that's going on. So thank you for sharing that example also, Anna. Jim, do we have any questions from the chat room?
No, actually, it's been pretty quiet out there tonight, and so with all the technical problems we've had getting forward, I think we won't tempt any more fate. Maybe we ask one more final question and we bring it in for landing.
Yeah. So I think my final question, literally, I mean, just picking your brain off the number of years you've been with a very large organization, and I think it's safe to say that the organization is doing a lot of work in the strengths-based domain. Any suggestions, any tips, any techniques that you have for HR people who are looking to, let's say, roll out a initiative like this or a strengths wave like this in their organization? Anything that you would like to suggest to them in terms of best
Um,
practices or anything?
Yeah, in fact, we are in my current role. We are in the process of putting together a talent development program globally for the segment, and I am part of building that. And I'm bringing my views and experiences there. I think my suggestion would be in any talent development idea, assessing where the people are. That's very, very important. Irrespective of the level of success that they have achieved already. Many a times we try and take it for granted that, he's a successful guy and he performed very well. It's okay. But I think a tool like Strength Finder answers many questions. What brought you success, and what's really going to be probably the challenges that you might face, in the newer environment. So I think the assessment of people through the strength finder is something that is important, and at a team level, definitely it plays out much better. Though I didn't have the experience of deploying it, but I think that plays informally. I've seen that happening, and I have seen that very well in my own team management. But I think that is something very, very important to cascade it at the team level. For the coaches or for the mentors, my couple of suggestion is that I think coaching is 10 months, 12 months, long process, and instead of starting the coaching relationship with assessment, allow 2-3 sessions to unfold and let there be a free flow conversation, trying to know and trying to introspect, and then deploy Strength Finder somewhere just before the middle, and then work on the development. That has worked better for me than doing it at the initial stage. That's something that I have found it much more effective. And when we're spending time with the people, it's very important to talk about why. The what is much more clearer when you read out the report. And yes, I'm an activator, and this is how I would just get going. And I'm an achiever, and this is why I always want to keep myself busy. But why is that happening? And then how does it play out? And how that is likely to be perceived? And that is something, more time has to be spent around that. So that helps the coachee to connect with the strengths philosophy very well. And obviously the philosophy of Strength Finder is don't get too obsessed with the weakness, and unless it is really a career staller. So that is an understanding, but always a bit challenge to practice, and always being very conscious about it is very important. Otherwise, there is a tendency to get dragged into that part. That is something we need to be conscious to stay in that strength zone. So those are some of the thoughts that I'm happy to share based
All
on my
excellent
experience.
Excellent points, all of them very relevant, and I'm sure everybody who's heard it would benefit something from this learning, because it was all very, very not theoretical. So, when you start looking at strengths and the philosophy behind it, that's one thing, and understanding it really well, then actually seeing how it pans out is another thing. And I think those examples and those techniques, etc., were all very relevant. So thank you so much, Anna, for your time. Jim, that's all that I have from my end. So
yeah, and I'll say our coaches, we get a lot of questions all the time about succession planning, and you mentioned that down a level or down 2 levels. You may get some folks who contact you asking some questions about that, because we do get that question all the time of how does that actually work and how do you actually do it, and probably not within the scope of what we're doing here, but
Yeah.
the fact that you're doing it is very important in this work that you're doing. So I'll say thanks for coming on as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to add one more bit to that?
Just I can a couple of more minutes. I have something to share.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. If you want to wrap it with something, go ahead and drop that in there.
Okay. You see, when I was thinking about strengths and the philosophy of working on strengths, and I have connected this to something very, very ancient in our culture. And there is a what do you call literature called Kural, Tirukkural in Tamil, in our language. And this was written sometimes in BC 1st century or 2nd century. And that is, that's a sort of, you have any questions, you have an answer there. So it's a couplet of 1.5 line, and it's written on 133 chapters. I want to share that couplet and the meaning, and that is the way I want to close this session.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First, I'm going to recite it in Tamil, my language. இதனால் இவன் முடிக்கும் என்றாய்ந்து அதனை அவன் கண் விடல். So the meaning of it is this: this man, this work shall thus work out. Let thoughtful king command, then leave the matter wholly in his servant's hand. The summary is, the meaning is that the success of the king lies in identifying who is capable of what, and then give that responsibility to that person and empower him. So that is defined as one of the success, quality of the king. And this was written 2,000 years ago. And I think it perfectly connects with the strengths philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting how some things change and yet some things stay the same.
Just don't.
Yeah, no, they just don't. Those universal truths. So thanks again for joining us and for being a part of Call the Coach. We appreciate it. I'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com. Send us your questions or comments if you'd like to be a guest blogger. We do have some openings for that. If you have a blog written that you'd like to submit to us, send that to us, coaching@gallup.com. And don't forget to put guest blogger in the subject line. We'll get that routed to the right person. You can also catch the recorded audio and video of this program, as well as many others that we've done, including all the links to our Facebook group, YouTube page, iTunes RSS feeds, iPhone and Android apps, all and everything we have available for you from a resources standpoint. A lot of free materials available for you in our coaches blog. Just go to coaching.gallup.com. If you're interested in becoming a Gallup-Certified Strengths Coach, you can also see a list of all of our courses that are available on our site, courses.gallup.com. Pooja, anything that you want to highlight, courses coming up there in the region?
Not in India at the moment, Jim. We'll have I think the open courses start again in March of next year. So we are winding up this year with a great, actually I'm looking forward to it. We're having our first coaches reunion in December. So that's happening in December. But the courses, etc., would resume again, I think, the first quarter of next year.
Okay, excellent. And there are, if you go out to courses.gallup.com, and if we're just talking about our accelerated strengths coaching courses, cities like, actually there's one here next week in Omaha, which is great. Then Irvine, New York, Washington, Atlanta, Dallas, London, Tokyo, Portland, Chicago, Singapore, Philadelphia, Orlando, Minneapolis, Silicon Valley or Santa Clara, California, Seoul, Cape Town, South Africa, Mexico City, just to name a few. So there's a lot of training available for you out there as well. Don't let travel be a restriction. We have it in a city coming close to you soon. Again, that's out at courses.gallup.com. If you found this helpful, please share it. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we'll look forward to the next Call to Coach. And with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.